Welcome to the Christian Heart Podcast, where we share true stories about people and the ways in which they show their love for Jesus by putting faith into action. We hope you're inspired by these bi-weekly podcast episodes and that you'll share them with your friends. The stories featured here generally describe ministries that are taking place in various parts of the United States and even in other countries. The stories showcase ordinary people who have felt their hearts be touched by a need and then acted on that need to try to make a difference in someone's life. Take today's first story, for example. Here's a man out driving in his car who sees an elderly man struggling to mow the yard. He stops to help, and in that one simple act of kindness is born a ministry that today reaches across the United States and has made missionaries of more than 240 young men. The ministry is called Raising Men Lawn Care Service.
I was having a hard time deciding what I was going to do with my life. I prayed that God would use me as His vessel. I didn't hear anything from Him for a while, but in 2015, I was driving my car and saw an elderly man really struggling to cut his grass. So I got out of my car and helped him finish the yard. When I was driving away, I was amazed at how good that felt, and I truly believed God was speaking to me. So, as I was finishing up my computer science degree, I would find widows, veterans, disabled, or elderly people that needed their grass cut and just do it for free. I couldn't believe how it touched them. So many of these people had lost a lot of joy in their lives. More than cutting their lawn, I'd spend time listening to their stories. So this was not just about taking care of their yard. It was showing them they matter and that God cares for them. Then I started getting kids in my city involved, encouraging them to take care of yards for people that couldn't do it themselves. We'll even blow leaves in the fall and shovel snow in the winter. I give them a free t-shirt once they take care of 10 yards, and if they do 50 yards, I'll give them a free lawnmower. It was my way of mentoring and training young men to give back to their community. Now it's developed into a ministry called Raising Men Lawn Care Service. We have 244 kids throughout the United States and in 5 different countries that are doing this. I travel all over America, cutting yards in different cities and taking the opportunity to talk about the value of serving others. God has guided each one of my decisions, and I hope that He is pleased with the work that is being done in His name.
Sometimes the best medicine for overcoming an obstacle is to share your experiences with others. In today's chaotic environment of complex personal relationships, connection often comes when 2 people share the same experience. That's the way it turned out for this first young woman, lost in a world of alcohol abuse, disconnected from friends, family, and the world she once had known and loved. But a 12-step program helped her make a start toward recovery and renewal. And then she discovered the power of sharing her story with others. Here is sharing hope with other addicts.
I was a shell of a human being. By the time I was 20 years old, my drinking progressed to the point where I was emotionally and spiritually isolated from everyone around me. I abandoned my childhood faith and thought if God was real, He wouldn't want anything to do with a person like me. But I was given a beautiful solution to my addiction when I joined a 12-step fellowship and was able to reconnect with God. Recovery has allowed me to regain my family's trust, maintain genuine friendships, graduate from college, have a healthy relationship with my boyfriend, keep a job, and feel a sense of purpose through helping sick and suffering alcoholics and addicts. Recovery has transformed my idea of God and the personal relationship I have with Him today. The most transformative, faith-renewing part of this journey has been talking about God with other alcoholics and addicts. No matter what kind of struggles you have overcome, your story can help others. I used to feel so much shame over the things I did, but I know God is using my past to help others in the same situation. The only reason why I'm able to do this is because someone else showed me the way by sharing their experience. I'm so thankful to now be that person for others. My walk with God hasn't been perfect. There have been times where I questioned Him, even in sobriety. But I find He always brings me back to the truth. God never turned His back on me when I was stuck in addiction. I turned my back on God. He's always been there and will continue to be there, not just for me, but for anyone who reaches out to seek His love.
With the graying of the baby boomer generation, a popular topic for discussion these days amongst the over 65 set is, what does retirement look like? Or more often, what should retirement look like? Those who've given a lifetime to a career now want to know, so what does tomorrow hold for me? Up next on the Christian Heart Podcast is the answer to that question for a retired florist who loves to read. She figured out a way to do what she loved and create a wonderful ministry opportunity to help children all at the same time. Her story is called Reading in the Park.
I'm a retired florist, but I still love working and being as active as I can. It helps me feel purpose to give back to others. I began asking the Lord what my retirement years should look like, how I could continue to honor Him with my gifts and talents. My church has adopted a local school in our community that we serve in many ways, furnishing backpacks, handing out food, supplying coats for the winter. One thing that interested me was reading with the children who are behind at school and don't have parents heavily involved in their lives. We call it Reading in the Park, and I love it. To see children as they begin to understand and develop a love of reading is so rewarding. Investing in them so I can ultimately tell them about the good news of Jesus, loving on them so that they can see the love of Christ, all for His glory. All it takes is a couple of hours every Friday to show these children that they are loved, not only by me, but by their Creator. That is what my retirement years look like, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
The family featured in our last story today thought they had the ministry thing all figured out. They just adopted a son, a 12-year-old boy from Colombia. They were in the process of making their home his home and incorporating him into their lives. Everything seemed right until that morning jog that ended up with the father in the emergency room and the diagnosis of a major brain tumor. But through it all, he could see God's incredible hand. We hope you enjoy God's Timing is Amazing.
When I look back on my life, I can see God's hands along every step, even when I experienced a rare brain tumor. Life was going along wonderfully. My wife, son, and I had just adopted our 12-year-old son from Colombia. I was doing well in my real estate job and even training for a marathon. One morning, I went out for a run and became extremely dizzy. If not for a park bench, I may have collapsed. I found my way home and thought it was just a chemical imbalance. But my wife convinced me to go to the ER. The MRI showed a tumor the size of a fist lodged in my brain. When the doctor said those words, I was devastated. It was causing my entire brain to be scrunched to one side. But by God's grace, it looked to be clear, meaning it was non-cancerous. Still, it was a very rare and large brain tumor. One of the country's top neurosurgeons performed my surgery, which was anything but smooth. There was a tremendous amount of hemorrhaging. He had to call his medical mentor in Europe for a consultation. I was in a medically induced coma for 2 days while a team of neurosurgeons decided on a course of action. 4 surgeries later, I'm a walking miracle. It took 2 months in the hospital and rehab before I was anything close to my normal self. I lost hearing in my left ear and still have some lingering imbalance, both somewhat common side effects with brain surgery. Throughout this ordeal, my faith gave me a peace that truly is hard to explain. I could literally feel God's presence every step of the way, and His timing was amazing. I may not have survived this had I not been in good physical shape. God orchestrated our adoption, so it had already taken place. Otherwise, we would have never been approved to adopt our son. Now, I make it a point to meet with others going through major medical challenges, to listen to their fears, to comfort and encourage them. I share that God is always in control and will be with them every step of the way. God has been using my ordeal to spread His name and goodness, and to show He is with us all the time.
If you'd like to see 250 other encouraging stories, be sure to visit our website at www.thechristianheart.com. They're also posted on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. If you like our encouraging podcast, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or Stitcher, and never miss an episode. We hope you've enjoyed these brief glimpses from the Christian heart. When someone has a love for Jesus and then puts that love into action, miracles do happen. And we love telling you about that. If you have a story you'd like to share, or if you'd like to suggest a person to be profiled, let us know. Simply click on our website at www.thechristianheart.com, and you'll find the contact information you need to get in touch with our not-for-profit ministry. This has been a production of The Christian Heart. Thanks for joining us.